Welcome back to Heavy Duty, the place where legends of the road come back to life, and today we're turning the pages way back over a century to spotlight one of the earliest workhorses ever built by man, the 1915 one-tonner truck. This is not just a piece of history, it's the ancestor of modern logistics, the mechanical backbone of early 20th century commerce, and a rare example of how industrial engineering laid the groundwork for the trucking industry as we know it. At first glance, the 1915 man one-tonner looks like it belongs in a museum, and honestly, it does. But this machine wasn't made to sit still. It was built for hauling, moving, and enduring the rough, unpaved roads of pre-war Europe. The design is boxy, simple, and unapologetically utilitarian. A flat wooden cargo bed sits atop a ladder-style steel frame, supported by leaf spring suspension and wooden spoked wheels wrapped in solid rubber tires. There's nothing flashy about it, but back in 1915, this was cutting-edge engineering. Every line, every bolt, every board had one job: get the load from point A to point B without failing. The front grille is a vertical slab of metal with narrow slots to cool the engine, flanked by two large lantern-style headlamps mounted to the wooden fenders. A manually cranked engine sits behind the tall bonnet, and the entire cab is wide open, with no doors, no windshield, and just a canvas canopy to shield the driver from the elements. Rain or shine, cold or heat, this truck rolled on. It wasn't built for comfort, it was built for purpose, and it looked the part. Climb into the driver's area, calling it a cab might be generous, and you're met with pure mechanical simplicity. A wooden bench spans the width, with just enough room for a driver and possibly one brave passenger. The controls are a mix of levers and pedals that would confuse most modern drivers. There's no power steering, no dashboard screen, no speedometer even. Just a few analog gauges to monitor oil pressure and temperature, and a brass horn mounted to the side for signaling. The steering wheel is large and thin, made from wood and metal, requiring real muscle to turn. Starting the truck was a two-step process: crank the engine manually from the front, then climb in and finesse the pedals to get moving. There's no key fob, no push start, just grit and patience. Now, talking price for a truck like this is tricky. Back in 1915, the man one-tonner would have cost a few thousand marks, an amount affordable only to businesses, military forces, and industries large enough to invest in motorized freight. In today's money, restored units, if you can even find one, are priceless collector pieces, often selling at vintage auctions for over $100,000 depending on condition and originality. But in its time, it was a high-cost, high-value asset. Owning one was a statement. You were moving into the future, leaving horses behind, and embracing the age of the machine. Performance-wise, we're not talking about speed or torque like we would with modern trucks. The 1915 man one-tonner was powered by a modest four-cylinder gasoline engine, putting out around 25 horsepower, just enough to pull a full ton of cargo at a steady 15 to 20 kilometers per hour. It wasn't built for acceleration. It was built for reliability. The transmission was a primitive 3-speed manual with no synchronization, which meant double-clutching every gear shift and careful coordination on hills and turns. Braking was done by mechanical drum brakes on the rear wheels, only slow to respond and not very forgiving. Driving this thing was an act of skill and endurance. What made this truck special wasn't its power, it was its toughness. The man one-tonner could haul supplies across muddy fields, cobblestone streets, or steep dirt roads. It served in construction, agriculture, and even military logistics during World War I. It could survive rough treatment, basic maintenance, and still keep rolling when horses gave out or railways didn't reach far enough. It represented the industrial push toward modern transport, one bolt and bearing at a time. This truck helped redefine how goods were moved, how work was done, and how the trucking industry would evolve over the next 100 years. It's the direct ancestor to today's heavy-duty freight haulers, and without machines like this, we wouldn't have the global supply chain infrastructure we rely on today. The man one-tonner taught the world that machines could outlast muscle, and that reliability on the road would be the key to building nations. For fans of history, engineering, and trucking legacy, this machine is sacred ground. It reminds us how far we've come, from wood frames and hand cranks to autonomous rigs and electric platforms. But even after all the advances, there's something incredibly raw and inspiring about a vehicle like this. It didn't have speed, but it had purpose. It didn't have luxury, but it had resilience. It was the very definition of heavy duty, long before the term ever hit the market. Thanks for watching Heavy Duty. If vintage iron like the Man 1-tonner gets your heart pumping, drop a comment below and tell us which early truck or tractor you'd like us to cover next. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and keep coming back for more machines that built the world 1 mile, 1 ton, and 1 revolution at a time.